Full-time, Brentford 3, Tottenham Hotspur 0. There was a buzz about Brentford pre-season. A lot of people expecting them to score a lot of goals and play very well. They did. There was also a buzz about Spurs. They have spent hundreds of millions. What were they going to be like? Surely it couldn't be as bad as last season. Hello, everyone. My name is Mark Donaldson, alongside Stevie Nicol, five-time Premier League champion. We got what we expected from Brentford, but what on earth, Stevie Nicol, did we get from Spurs today?
Well, we got a Spurs team that got bullied. That's what we got. Listen, on paper, Spurs have got some nice footballers, some great players, some experience, loads of talent. But you know what? At the end of the day, just raw desire and hunger for the battle sometimes is more important. And Brentford are not just about that. They have quality. And obviously the new signing Sangare was fantastic on his debut. But they just completely and utterly bullied Tottenham. You know, in the middle of the park, Tonali making his Premier League debut for Spurs, along with the rest of his cohorts in the middle, just couldn't handle what Brentford were throwing at them. You know, Bergvall is a little inexperienced still, but you know he looked a bit of a schoolboy, and Gallagher just didn't offer any help to the other two. But then once they get through the middle, okay, you expect the other two new signings, Van Hecke and Senesi, are they going to stand up to it? No, the two centre backs get bullied as well. I mean, they just got completely and utterly outworked, outfought, and ultimately outplayed.
You know all about luxury players. You weren't one of them because you were the grafter. You worked hard and everything like that. But because of people like you in the team, with your quality and with your ability, you were allowed to have luxury players. Spurs have got luxury players, but they don't have enough grafters. Is that fair?
Do you know? I think what one of the biggest things I got today. I mean, I'm correct in saying they got bullied, but if you are one of the so-called workman-like sides in the Premier League, you have just learned a lesson how to beat Tottenham, because I think physically they don't have any. I can't think of any or enough that are actually physically able to stand up to the bullying. You know, so I think that's going to be as big a problem as anything else. You know, it's one thing when you have desire, but if you're just basically physically not as strong and smaller than the opposition, when it comes to making challenges, you know, certainly from set pieces, it's a huge advantage. And we saw that today. I mean, every time Brentford had a set piece, whether it was a free kick or a corner, and they put a ball in the box, there was only one team winning the header. And it was a case of can Spurs do enough to put them off without making it too easy? And all around the field was the same. When it's 50-50 challenges, physically, they were just completely and utterly outmatched. So if you can't win some sort of semblance of control on the physical side, how are you going to be able to play your football with your so-called better football players? So I think this game today absolutely has shown Zerbi in particular something he has to figure out, and how he's going to overcome the fact that Spurs don't have a very physical side.
This seemed to be a continuation of the end days of Thomas Frank and Igor Tudor, rather than the first few days and first few matches of Roberto Di Zerbi last season. Why is that?
Well, it's the players they've signed. You know, they've got rid of some players, but they've kept the majority of them, which obviously you need numbers and for many other reasons. And yes, they've signed 4 or 5 quality players, but they've signed players who are not, other than Tonali, all the other players are, you would say, footballers, ball players. You wouldn't put any money on any of them in a fight, per se. So other than Tonali, the signings they've made from a physical point of view, and I'm sorry to harp on about this, but it really was so clear today. And it sounds like I'm doing a disservice to Brentford, but the second goal Brentford scored was fantastic football. Great for one-time passing, and then a nice little pass at the end to have Potter putting the ball in the back of the net. But in general, the biggest problem Spurs are going to have is the physicality, because they don't have players that are able to match teams as big and as strong as Brentford.
There's a lot of money spent. Over 250 million was spent, but how wisely was it spent? When you consider Mamadou Sangare ran the game today, he was outstanding for Lens last season. He was brilliant for Rapid Vienna before that. It was a club record 41 million that Brentford spent. He's got it all. Physicality. He's got an ability to get forward. He got the assist for the opening goal with the cutback for Lewis Potter. Does that say more about Spurs' recruitment, or does it say more about Brentford's recruitment, that they can get what looked like twice the player for more than half the price?
Well, the question is, would Sangare have been as good if he'd played for Tottenham today? And the truth is, I'm not so sure. He was playing in a team that was dominant. He was playing in a team that got him the ball. And once that happened, I say that's a little unfair, because he did his fair share of work as well getting the ball. But the truth of the matter is, once he got the ball in the right areas, he absolutely showed his quality. Unfortunately for Spurs, if you had put Sangare in Spurs' team, I'm not so sure he would have stuck out, because they wouldn't have been able to get him the ball. And yes, he maybe could have helped them winning it back, but after that, they couldn't even keep it. So, yeah, that's a tough one to answer. What I can tell you is Sangare was absolutely outstanding today. Mm-hmm. And if this Brentford side continued to have the attitude and the desire that they showed today for the rest of the season, there's no reason why they can't take that extra step this year and get into the European spots, because they were so close last year, only missed by goal difference. So as I said, with the addition of Sangare, maybe that's just that little extra that they need to get in the European places.
They were a joy to watch today. They don't take 3 or 4 touches when 1 or 2 will do.
Yeah.
They don't have huge stars, but by God, they're the sum of their parts, and they work hard for everybody else. And that was kind of summed up. You've touched on it, Stevie, the second goal. It's played forward to Richarlison. It's not great hold-up play for him. It's gone back to Berval. I don't know what he's trying to do, if he's trying to tackle, if he's trying to be smart or whatever. He's dispossessed. And you mentioned that kind of quick footwork from Brentford, and it ends up with Janelt following up after the initial shot is saved. I think that's probably a microcosm of the whole game. Well, certainly the first half, because the second half petered out. But it was the hunger aspect. It was Spurs trying to be a bit too cute. And it was Brentford saying, no, this is our home. This is how we play, and this is what we're going to do.
I keep saying this. There are certain things in football that started when the game was invented and are still important today. And one of those things is you have to earn the right to play. And the first goal that Brentford scored absolutely was about earning the right, putting the opposition under pressure and taking advantage of it. And the second one is all about the quality of some of the play that Brentford had today. One-time passing, fantastic movement, a smart cut back, and Lewis Potter got himself free, 10 yards out, and basically rolled it into an empty net. So you got beauty in the beast. The second one was absolute a beauty, and the first one was beast mode. It was winning the ball back, the desire, and then of course finishing it off at the end.
Double change for Spurs at halftime. They had to do something. Roberto did Zerbi, so he took off Gallagher and Berval, and he brought on Mateus Fernandes and Rodrigo Bentancur, looking for a bit more of a spine to the team, but they didn't really have any chance to showcase what they can do, because 3 minutes after halftime, Sangare's effort is saved, and there's Michael Coyote from close range for the follow-up. You would think they'll have learned their lesson from what they did wrongly in the first half, Spurs, but it just seemed to be more of the same, even with the 2 changes.
You know, the two changes really didn't make any difference whatsoever. It would have been nice for any coach hopes that when he makes a change, it affects the game. But they were just so far behind everywhere that it was difficult for the two players that came on to actually make such a change. I think the Zerbi is going to sit down and have the biggest headache, because generally you can, after a game, you can sit down and go, okay, there's a couple of things I did wrong here. Or maybe I shouldn't have played this guy, or maybe I should have had a different tactic against this team. But De Zerbi got so many things wrong today. You know, playing basically the five in the middle with Mikey Moore on one side and Tell on the other. They were absolutely ineffective. The three in the middle got completely bullied, outran, you name it. And then to play Archie Gray at right back was a horrible decision, not just for the team, but also for Archie Gray himself. And of course, the two centre backs didn't help anybody either. You know, never helped the full backs at all. Andy Robertson actually did okay, but was under so much pressure all the time, as was Archie Gray on the other side. So, you know, tactically, personally, from a picking the team standpoint of view, De Zerbi got so many things wrong today that if he's got any sense, I think this is one of those occasions as a coach where you get your team in front of you and you say, you know what, this one's on me. I made too many errors. I picked the wrong side. I think we went about it the wrong way, and that's down to me. And in some ways, that kind of takes a lot of the pressure away from the players. You know, when they see the manager taking the rap for it, it makes it easier for them to convince themselves that it wasn't all down to them. So if I'm De Zerbi, that's what I'm doing on either tomorrow when they're in or Monday morning. Next time they have a team meeting, I'm going to try and take this game away from the players as if it never happened and put it all on me and take all the pressure on myself. That way, and make it easier for them to get ready for the next game.
Well, the next game's on Wednesday, Stevie, and it's a League Cup tie at home to Charlton. It's a game that at this stage of this competition, many managers give a lot of the youngsters a chance. Given what happened today, is this now a strongest 11 selection for Roberto De Zerbi to try and make amends on Wednesday?
I think so. Absolutely, yeah. After such a horrible result, you know, everybody's down. The players are down. Coaching staff's down. Fans are down. The whole club on Monday morning or the next time they're in will be very quiet. And so it's a good idea to get rid of that as quick as you can. And there's no better way than winning a game of football. And Wednesday probably can't come quick enough. And I would suggest that you play as strong a team as you can. And the fact that you got 5 subs makes it a lot easier. You know, it's a team from a lower league. You should comfortably beat them. So get your team out that you think are the best 11. Get the game won, get it done, and then get your players off that you think you're going to have to rely on in the Premier League the following weekend. So yeah, I think right now it's a good thing that they've got a game on Wednesday. It's at home, and I'm sure the home crowd will start the game by getting behind them. There's no question about that.
I have to play devil's advocate here and say, well, look, Pedro Porro is going to come back in at right back. If they sign Marmoush, if they sign Savinho, you've still got Mickey van de Ven, and it might look very different. They have spent a lot of money, and no doubt Matthias Fernandes is going to start games sooner rather than later. However, here's something that might be a little bit alarming for Spurs fans, because we've got a full screen graphic here. Last season, the 3 teams that lost their first match in the Premier League by 3 or more goals were all relegated. Burnley went down, West Ham went down, Wolves went down. Stevie, it's a small sample size, of course, but has your seasonal prediction and thoughts about Spurs changed today at all after what you saw?
It has changed, yeah. Before a ball was kicked, as I said, you know, the theory and the practical, as we know, are always 2 opposite things. And the theory of all the signings and the Zerbi coming in and all the positive vibes coming from Spurs and the spending money and I'm along with everybody else, fell in a trap and thought, you know what, this team, no Europe either. This team maybe could be in the top 6 or 7. That's what I was thinking before the ball was kicked. I can absolutely tell you right now that's not what I'm thinking. But I'm not thinking relegation. There's absolutely no chance. I will take a bet off anybody right now. The Spurs will not be getting the relegation zone. So I think we can forget that. However, I'm beginning to wonder about my thinking of maybe the top 6 because it was so bad today. It really was. And not only did it make you question the players, it made me question the manager, which I never envisaged at all. So yeah, some of the decisions he made, I think he got way too many miles off. Not even a little mistake here or there. I thought a lot of his decision making was awful. Now, there is a possibility that some of the decisions were forced upon him through people not being 100% or whatever it may be. There's a possibility of that. But too many things went wrong to turn around and say the manager wasn't at fault here. And so that's an extra worry on top of the poor showing from the players.
Okay, that's the post-mortem done. The patient can only get better from here if it can be revived. And look, it's a small sample size, League Cup midweek, then they kick on. The thing that got me today was the defence. And I know there's 2 new ones, Senesi and Van Hecke. That'll take time as well, but I thought they were at least bringing in players to strengthen that defence. Small sample size, we will see. Post-mortem over. Brentford now. That front 4, Shada on the left-hand side, Ouattara on the right, Jensen in behind Thiago, who missed a penalty, by the way, only the second time in the Premier League. But it's Sangare and Janelt just in behind them that kind of allow the protection for the fullbacks to get forward and the front 4 to do their job. What is it that Keith Andrews has done that's... Is it a continuation of the unity, or has he given them something else? Because they are a damn good side as a complete together 11.
Oh, he's continued. He's continued and strengthened the belief and the togetherness. There's no question. I don't think there's another team in the league that plays for each other the way that the Brentford players do. But I think he's also given them a license to look forward and get the ball forward earlier than they used to. I think previously, under Thomas Frank, they were sharp on the break, but they were starting from a very deep position. The last season in this game today, they weren't looking to be on the break. They weren't looking to sit tight, in my opinion. They were looking to go forward and play. And so I think that's what he's done. He's given them a belief that they're good enough that they can actually go and play against teams and not have to try and be a counter-attacking side. So I think he's given them that belief. I think that's the biggest change for me. They do go forward and they look forward earlier, and the starting positions are further forward than they were previously.
Are people guilty of underestimating Brentford? It's just Brentford. You mentioned they missed out on goal difference last season from a European spot. They finished above Chelsea. It seems they don't get enough respect. Is that fair?
I think up until last season, I would agree with that. I think the tide has turned though. I don't think. We talked about how great they did last season, and then over the summer with the World Cup and everything else. You kind of go back into the old thoughts about Brentford, how they're little Brentford, small stadium. They just want to stay in the Premier League. You kind of fall back into that sort of attitude. But I think today's game will not give people a little bit of a wake-up call again, that just to remind them what Brentford were about last season. And they've shown today against Spurs at home that they intend to continue it and try and get better. So yeah, I don't think after last season and after today, any coach in the Premier League is going to take them lightly whatsoever. They absolutely are going to give them respect. And it's respect that's 100% deserved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. Last one for you. And I think I have a fair idea. It's a harder question to answer now than it would have been before kickoff. Who finishes higher this season in the Premier League, Brentford or Tottenham Hotspur?
Well, I think the good news for Brentford is the fact that I'm thinking it's a toss of a coin between the two of them who finishes higher is such a positive for Brentford. However, if you're a Spurs fan, that has to be a negative, particularly after what you saw in the summer with the transfer window and the players they brought in. So after this today, I would have to say it seems like a toss of a coin.
It just seems today that it's been the day for the little guys, so to speak, when facing the big guys. Hull beating Manchester United. Ipswich with a late winner to get the better of Sunderland. Leeds winning at Forest. And Brentford thumping Spurs by 3-0. Bye for now.